What is up, everyone? We are back today with Devin again. And yeah, we wanted to do a quick video because we were talking the other day, and this is something that happens a lot. And I know we're not the only ones. It's like when you have a lot that you want to get done, and there's a lot to do, and you're talking about it, and you're talking about it, and you're discussing it. And Devin hates that. She's like, don't think about it, just do it.
I'm like, we have a game plan. Cool, let's go. Let's just make moves towards it, and let's just stop talking about it right now.
And while I agree with that, like in theory, I have a tendency to keep talking about things. And because to me, I want to know what I'm doing. But the best thing to do for that, rather than talking about it, is to use one of these and one of these and write them down. And I have, like you can see here, there's like a list of things that we actually did, a bunch of them yesterday. But by writing them down, now they're not swimming around in your thoughts, and you're not thinking, oh, I need to remember this, I need to do this, because that causes overwhelm, and it causes, what did you call it just now?
Almost like action paralysis.
Yeah, you said you get action locked.
Yeah, action locked.
Like in video games when
whenever like in Sims, for example, if you tell your Sims to do too many things, and sometimes it can overwhelm it, or if you're going to do an action in an action game, and something like an invisible wall is there, and then all of a sudden you can't move, you have to like restart.
Yeah.
And it's similar with people. I know I have this, and this is why I like to write things down, and I don't like to discuss all of the things I need to do. I just need to have the capacity to do it, because otherwise, and I'm sure some of you can relate, where you're like, I have so much stuff to do, and you're going over it, and then you just take a nap instead and get nothing done.
Yeah. That's all too familiar. I mean, I think for everybody. I mean, it happens in school too, I think, right? That's one thing, one area that everybody can relate to. But yeah, if you're working on projects, if you are trying to start anything, whatever it might be, and it takes energy, you got all these different things. If you want to be a productive person, talked about this before, it requires you taking action on it. If I want to have success with this YouTube videos, with this YouTube channel, I have to make videos. If I want to be a chef, I have to work on my recipes, whatever it may be. So the trick to this, that you had a nice analogy with this, is that the mind is like a parking lot, and there's only so many spaces. And if you want to share that kind of, and how that helps you.
Yeah, so thinking about it, like your mind's a parking lot, and I like to think about it like not even that big of a parking lot as far as my tasks go. Your tasks are the big cars that come in. Now, if you overcrowd your parking lot, then no cars can get in or out. There's nothing getting done in there. So for me, like how I explained it to Alex was, it's like a parking lot. Like if it's not on the top of my priority, if I can't do anything about it, make any moves about it today, then it's just going to go on the back burner, and I'm going to deal with the cars that are in my parking lot. Or some people will use the analogy like a lot on my plate, and they'll just clear what's on their plate. With that, some people will overload their plate, fill bags. So I feel like the car analogy, just for me to conceptualize it, makes the most sense.
Yeah, I agree, because the plate thing is like, what is that? That really,
it's relative.
Yeah, it's like, okay, there's only a certain number of spots here in this lot, and it's like you have to focus on the current thing at hand. Mm-hmm. You might have a big goal, and let's use YouTube as an example here, because we're on YouTube right now. Everybody is aware of how YouTube works, right? If you want to get, like, let's say the goal of like 100,000 subscribers, if you're focused on that goal, it might cause overwhelm. You're gonna be like, oh, well, I'm so far away from that goal. And it could be anything, right? But let's just use this as an analogy. You're gonna psych yourself out. You're gonna be like, yeah, there's no point in me even posting a video. There's no point in me even starting on this. And like you said, you might just go to sleep. you'll have all these different things that come up that are excuses of not to do it. Oh, you know, and maybe even you do start. Let's say that you start and you start posting, you post a few videos, but none of them are doing well. And you posted, maybe you've been posting for a month or a couple weeks, and you're just like, yeah, you know, it's really not. See, the graph to success with anything is that, see, people here, let me write this out for you guys. So people want it to be a straight line, right? But really, the way that it actually looks is like this. There's troughs, there's peaks and valleys. To get to this pinnacle here, which is where we're trying to get to, let's say this is the 100K. Now it's backwards because I'm writing. Anyways, that is, so you get to this valley here and you get discouraged. But what if you just tell yourself, hey, you know what? All I need to do is post 10 videos. And you just focus on that, posting those 10 videos. You focus on this next step in the process. And it's the same way if you're like climbing up a mountain. If you're thinking that you're gonna climb up that mountain, but at the very beginning you're thinking about the tent that you're gonna set up camp. You're like, what is that? How that's not helping, because you're gonna be at the very beginning. You're like, you first need to climb that rock. Then you need to hike around this ravine. Then you need to scout out the next place. How are you gonna go over this other what are like mountainous? What are the words for like mountainous areas?
Like deep valleys,
like another
trenches.
Yeah, like a boulder getting around this path, around the bend that goes around the cliff. And then finally, like once you get to the top of the mountain, then you can focus on setting up the tent. But by focusing on setting up the tent at the beginning, you're not even then allowing yourself to like fully embrace the step that's in front of you, the step that's at hand. And another analogy for this is like that people want to drive like super fast, and you have all these thoughts and all these ideas swirling around your head, and you have all this excitement. And Andrew Huberman talks about this, but he's like, yeah, when you get so excited about your goals and you start sharing them with people, that releases like a dopamine response in your brain, and you're like, oh yeah. You ever notice people that get so excited and they're
like that wide-eyed.
Yeah, that wide-eyed excitement, and they're like so exactly. And I talk about that with that example as well, but what does that do? They almost like deplete their own energy. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's like it gives you the feeling that you've already done it by getting so excited and like riling yourself up so much. So instead, it's like the most effective thing, reduce the time between idea and execution, reduce the gap between idea and execution. And that's what a lot of people, you know, I just had that video about being unbothered and how like there's actually a lot of genius in kind of like dumbing things down. And you see people sometimes that are more in their body, they're not getting in their own way. They're just like, okay, let me try this. What's the next step? Let me do this. And they don't have that mindset where it's like, oh, everything has to be perfect and everything has to do this and all the stars have to align. It's just, what's the next step in this process? Let me get it. Let me do. No, you know, it's not going to be perfect because you're new to it. You're still improving. And to get to that 100K subscribers or whatever the goal might be, let's say that you want to make $10,000, you're going to have stumbling blocks along the way, like that graph showed. You're going to have moments of where you feel defeated, moments where it's not working. And it's really about, instead of psyching yourself out in the big picture saying, oh, like I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to get to the 100K, $10,000, whatever it is. It's like, well, what's the next thing I can do? And you say that a lot, is just like, well, let me try this. Yeah. And instead
what can we do?
Yeah. And sometimes it's like in the moment, you have that tendency. I have a tendency sometimes to like look at all the errors and all the faults that I'm making, but that will deplete my emotional drive and willpower to then keep going. And what I should be doing is adopting that strategy, and we should all strive to try to throw more shit at the wall, so to speak. It's like, try to just keep making things, keep doing what you're doing, trying different things. And, you know, then once you have time to take a step back, then you can take that step back and look at it through a more analytical and critical eye and say, hey, you know, I've been doing this. Let's say I've made 10, 20 videos, whatever. This is what I think I could do to improve it. And, you know, maybe discuss that with somebody too that you trust, and look for that constructive criticism. But moment to moment, it's always about, getting in the reps and improving with those reps.
Yeah, so to kind of put that in, think about our line to success, or whatever we're doing, whatever we're achieving, the pool that we're doing. So we're trying to make like videos successful, videos that catch traction, right? And we're not going to find the immediate success if we just post one video. Some might, some are the outliers to the rule. But thinking about it in like a science terms, you have like a graph, and if you just have one plot on your graph, you can't like figure anything out. There's no variables to test against. But if you have like 5 videos that you make this way and 5 videos that you make this way, and you see which of like those groupings did the best, and then you analyze it from there, and then okay, what about those videos in those groups did the best? What were arguably, what do you like about it, what do you not like about it? And then going to your partner, whoever you trust, and be like, objectively, what works about these videos that is lacking in this video, and trying to almost like sample and take data of your own work to achieve the best version of the work that you can put out, because it is possible. But it's not going to happen with like 1 or 2 videos and then you're like, oh man, those didn't work. It's just gotta keep throwing stuff at it, and then we can test the waters.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. That's what scientists do. Applying a little bit of that scientific method is how you collect data points, and then if you want to talk about it from that frame of reference, it's like, yeah, then now we have the data to support this way of doing things versus this way of doing things. And it is about, again, like taking that, like they just do so many of them so that they can collect the data. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that should be your approach with whatever it is that you're working on as well. Is like, you should just be trying as many different things as possible so that you now have data points.
Yeah, like for example, we're about to, probably in the next week, we're going to hit up the university near us, and we're going to actually go out and take real person datas and real person testimonies, and like actually see what, like with my desserts, what's working, what's not, what works with these other dessert companies that maybe I can improve on, that's not adding a gallon of sugar.
Yeah, that's something that we're going to be doing. We can share more information about that on here as well as we do that. But we mentioned before, Devin makes desserts. She makes amazing, like no sugar, sugar-free. A lot of them are very like low calorie. They're in high protein, and there is a lot of benefit to fueling your body with the right things. And if you can make that an enjoyable process, which Devin most definitely does, then it's well worth it and working in your favor to eat the foods that you still enjoy to eat, but also not be wreaking havoc on really your body, but also your mental health. I mean, there's so much out there, and I mentioned Andrew Huberman again because he really is at the forefront of this. He's got one of the more popular things on mindset and health, and it's all connected. It's like what you're eating, what you're consuming, what are you consuming physically, and what are you consuming mentally as well? What information are you taking in, and how is it affecting your actual awareness? When we talk about mindset on this channel, it really is your awareness. It really is what you are consuming on an energetic level, on an informational level, but also your diet is also information. It's also something that you're taking in, and your cells are absorbing that. Your cells are regenerating themselves, what do they say, every 7 months or whatever. And the better fuel that you provide yourself, you're going to have better, your hormones are going to be more optimized. Your nutrients are going to be there that support that productive, best version of yourself that we are all striving to get to. So that being said, let us know what you thought about this video. If this has helped or shed some light, how to avoid overwhelm, how to get out of your own way and essentially just step by step, get to the next thing and reduce the gap, achieve your goals. And like I said, drop us a comment, let us know what you thought, hit us with a like, hit me with a subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Bye.